Welcome to a terrible wrestling show. Episode 1, the pilot episode of this horrible existence of a podcast that has now graced the internet. Produced by Sparky3. I'm Alex Light. Hopefully you're having a wonderful day. I got a mosh posh of a couple things happening here. I mean, we got Ricky from a terrible football show popping in. He's going to talk about some wrestling here. Ricky, how you doing?
Just got out of practice. I'm okay, I guess. It wasn't too bad of a day.
There you go. We got John here, my guy over at GameStatic. John, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good. We've been talking about doing this for a while, so maybe over at GameStatic we'll get less wrestling talk now.
No, we're still gonna fit it in, John.
We'll fit it in.
just to piss
now,
Zach
now
off.
we have an excuse to not, like, before every PLE for WWE have like a 20-minute segment at the end.
Right. And then we also have Jakub from ATWS, but just so we have total representation, even though it's over a year dead, Jakub, you're going to be our Anime Plus representation for today's episode.
Oh, gosh.
So, Jakub, okay. How are you?
I'm doing great. Glad to be a representation of a dead show.
Shout out.
I'm ready to get to talking about wrestling, man. I love talking about football, but I love talking about wrestling even more. Yeah, no,
have gotten extremely back into wrestling over like the last year or so. It's just been such a fun time, man. The stories have been incredible. And it goes across the board, not just WWE. But yeah, this is a show that we have legitimately joked about and talked about for quite some time. I've mentioned it on episodes of ATWS, of GameStatic. I was like, a terrible wrestling show. It's a thing. It's happening. We got a concept logo. We're working on it. This is gonna happen, and we're here. To start off a brand new show, I feel like it's important to establish some things. All right, let's talk about just the show itself. We got GameStatic every single Saturday. Shout out to that. We got ATFS going on every single Tuesday through the football season. Shout out to that. I think right now the bare minimum that we're planning to do for ATWS is we're pre-recording an episode every Thursday before a PLE, put it up that Saturday of the PLE, and then if we got time, we'll fit some extra episodes into the month. That's what we've kind of talked about we're going to do. There's really no host of this show either. It could be a mosh posh of who's on the show. It could be me, it could be John, it could be Jakub, it could be our guy Shane at ATFS, it could be our guy Steve, it could be anyone. Who knows? I don't fucking know. It could be literally anyone. But it's just a passion that we've wanted to do for a little bit. We've all been, gotten really, like, all of us been following wrestling for a while, but definitely gotten really hard into it over like the past year and a half or so. It's just been a fun time, and I think it's the right time to get into wrestling content creation for Sparky3, which also shout out, ATWS will be uploaded on the brand new channel, A Terrible Sports Network. I promise to God, right now, not every show we're going to do is going to be called A Terrible Insert Show. I promise. ATWS has been in the works for like 6+ months. All right. It dates before ATSN. All right. So shout out to ATSN. Shout out to that. This is going to be up on ATSN as of this upcoming Saturday before SummerSlam. Really excited there. And also, we're going to do a further like big, I guess hype for it on Tuesday for ATFS. Make sure to tune in this upcoming Tuesday. What's the date? August 6th. Shout out to that. August 6th, ATFS comes back weekly, and we'll do more of a hoorah for that, for this announcement. But we got a Patreon. Launched a Patreon. I'm going to put it down in the description below. If you want to support the brand, we've got, I think, 3 tiers. One's just like a simple little, like a tip jar. And then we got tier 2, and I think tier 3 is what I got it set up. I may only have 2 tiers, actually. I have no clue. I don't remember. But the Patreon's linked below. You can get access to like special Discord channels. You can request a video or fan topic once a month for any show. I mean, hey, you can personally bring back Anime Plus. You personally, if you subscribe to Patreon. Keep that in mind.
When it comes back, though, it'll probably be called A Terrible Anime Show.
Whoa. No, not true. Although it would be on brand. At this point, I feel like the Sparky3 brand has become more of a terrible brand than Sparky3. But that's also why I made ATSN. So ATSN can just exist in its own little bubble. It's just going to do its own thing, and it's just going to take off, and it's going to be great. It's going to be fantastic. But yes, if you could check out the Patreon, we'd appreciate that extra support. Going to do a real hard push for it for the end half of this year. Really excited for that. Excited for everything on ATFS and GameStatic and everything, and excited for ATWS. With all the big monologue out of the way, before we jump into like SummerSlam stuff, how we're kind of feeling leading into it, this is going to be an incredible show. It's the first episode of a wrestling podcast. I feel like this is a fair question to ask, and it's what got everyone into wrestling for the first time? What match, what storyline, like what got you into wrestling? What gave you the itch? What bit you that just made you fall in love with this incredible sport, this incredible attraction? What was it?
I'll jump in. Like, I mean, as far back as I can remember, like when I was younger, I remember having always watched wrestling. As I kind of got a little bit older, my teenage years fell out of it. It's been about a year and a half since I started getting back into it. And it was kind of a gradual thing for me where I was on YouTube one day and some of those compilations of like greatest returns, like greatest entrances, things like that started coming out, or it started getting recommended to me. Came back and found myself watching those on repeat. And then like from watching those, highlights of like Raw, SmackDown started getting recommended to me. Then before you know it, before I even started watching the weekly shows, I saw the notification. I think it was maybe Backlash at the time or something was coming on, and I was like, I guess I'm gonna sit down and it's on. I'll sit here and watch that. Pretty much was hooked since then.
Right.
And just kind of got back into it and started watching it weekly again. And honestly, it's been some of the most fun storytelling that I've seen in a long time.
Oh, facts. I'll go last because my answer I think is kind of funny.
My answer is kind of controversial.
Oh, here we go. Love that.
Okay. So as a kid, I actually didn't get into wrestling by watching the shows. I got into wrestling by playing the games. SmackDown, Here Comes the Pain, and SmackDown, Shut Your Mouth.
Okay, that's fair.
Those were some of my all-time favorite games as a kid playing them. I would play them for hours upon hours. And then I finally started to get into watching wrestling during the lead up to WrestleMania 20, which so happens to have had my all-time favorite match that really hooked me into wrestling, and that was the World Heavyweight Championship, the triple threat match, Triple H, Shawn Michaels, and Chris Benoit. And then after that, I really got religiously into TNA. I loved AJ Styles as a kid, Abyss, Scott Steiner, Booker T, all of them. I really got into all those wrestlers during their TNA run, not their WWE run. But I kind of fell off a little bit after TNA kind of went belly up for a while, and then WWE had their horrible PG era. Yeah. Horrible PG era. I think I stopped watching WWE after the Nexus, which was about 2012.
Yeah. I think every wrestling fan has a fall off period. Yeah.
And then I picked it back up probably about 4 or 5 years ago. As far as WWE is concerned, I still watch New Japan. I still watched Impact. I still watched ROH. But as far as WWE is concerned, I picked it back up about 5 years ago.
Okay. What about you, Rick?
So give me about 5 minutes, Alex. I'm about to hop off here and get back on the laptop. Because mine's, it's not long, but it's a little lengthy. And so, because I'm still involved in a pretty good capacity, but let me hop off and I'll get on my laptop when I'm almost home. So go ahead and share, and I'll share mine whenever I get back on.
Okay, yeah, I'll share mine then, because mine's kind of funny. Because all right, Jakub and John will know what I'm talking about. All right, so I like to relate me getting into wrestling similar to Lanny from Team 4-Star with how he has talked about on record how he got into Dragon Ball, and he questions how the fuck he got into Dragon Ball and stayed in Dragon Ball, because as both of you should know, the arc that he started watching, when I say you should know how bad the arc is. His first introduction to Dragon Ball was Dragon Ball Z Garlic Jr. Saga. After the freeze, that was his introduction to Dragon Ball Z. And he questions how that did not deter him from the series, and he stayed with it. I have a very similar situation of like the era that I started watching. Oh, it was bad, because my first WrestleMania was WrestleMania 27.
Oh.
The Miz and John Cena main event. Or was that 27? That 26? That's 27. That is 27. Yeah, 27 was my first WrestleMania. So I started watching wrestling to the lead up for that WrestleMania. CM Punk, Randy Orton, CM Punk with the Nexus, Randy Orton punting the Nexus every single week. The Randy Orton CM Punk match was awesome. Triple H and Undertaker, that's what really sold me on wrestling. That first match was incredible. John Cena and Miz, that was even as someone who did not know what was happening, that was something. I was like, well, that's garbage. But anyway, obviously freaking Jerry Lawler and Michael Damn Cole, that's garbage. Alberto Del Rio and Edge, fortunate enough, I guess, to watch Edge's last match at the moment, obviously, not now. But that lead up is what got me into wrestling, and like me saying that and me looking back at that lead up and look at that WrestleMania, dude, it just makes me question how the hell did I become a wrestling fan? Like, I mean, yeah, Triple H Undertaker was a banger. CM Punk and Randy Orton was a really solid match from that Mania. Cody Rhodes and Rey Mysterio, I think, was overall fine. But like, I just really enjoyed the Randy Orton CM Punk lead up. It's like it was those matches that really gave me like the bite. And then after that is where it's like you start getting like Summer of Punk and the pipe bomb and everything with that, and it was incredible. I was hooked from that point forward. WrestleMania 28, fantastic. Loved WrestleMania 28, still do to this day. Love WrestleMania 29 as well. Even though WrestleMania 29 dropped the ball on a few. Did you guys remember there's not a single women's match on WrestleMania 29? What the fuck?
Yeah.
It's wild. Yeah. Crazy to look back on. But just like that era being my introduction to wrestling and it actually managed to keep me is just baffling. Like, it really is. Because WrestleMania 27 is still considered one of the worst WrestleManias in history, if not the worst. Like, I've watched so many like content creators like Wrestle Talker or whoever, go back and rewatch WrestleMania 27. There's like, it's worse than I remember. Like, I just don't know how that kept me. I really don't, but it did.
The saddest part about that isn't the fact that was your first WrestleMania. It's the fact that you were only 1 year removed from seeing by far probably the greatest WrestleMania match of all time, and that was Shawn Michaels Undertaker running it back for a second time, for the final time.
Yep.
You were 1 year removed from that god tier match.
Yep. The thing I find kind of the most interesting is it sounds like your guys' starting point for like kind of getting into wrestling is several years removed when I had already kind of fallen off. Because
fair,
I grew up watching wrestling, so I was watching wrestling in like 98, and then kind of fell off in the early like 2000, somewhere around 2004 maybe, and then it took damn near 20 years for me to come back.
Yeah, I would say like I started watching wrestling religiously, especially TNA, around like 2006.
Yeah, so it's one of those I just find that fascinating, especially Alex. Like you're like 10. You start watching like 10 years, roughly 10 years after I stopped.
Yep.
And then we both got back into it about the same time.
Yep.
Which is interesting because a lot of the stuff, especially like WWE right now with like Punk coming back and all that. For me, I have no attachment to any of this. I wasn't watching wrestling during the times when some of the people that are coming back or like kind of some of the older stars now. I've missed most of their careers.
Okay, that's fair. Like, see, like I'm so attached to Punk because, man, I give Punk so much credit to even getting me into wrestling. You know what I mean? Like, and it goes to same for like a buddy of mine, buddy of ours, Josh. Like, he was like you, John, and he watched a lot of wrestling like late '90s and shit. And then he fell off for a long time, and then Punk with his Straight Edge Society, and all of that era, and then also the pipe bomb and everything, like saved wrestling for him. So it's like I have a huge attach. Like, I know there's obviously been a lot of backstage issues with Punk, whatever. But as the character CM Punk, I have a lot of attachment just because, like, dude, he really solidified it for me as being a fan. Like that whole era of him being the WWE champion with Paul Heyman was awesome, loved it, 10 out of 10. My drop off period started. I was pulling up the WrestleManias. I think it would probably be WrestleMania 33. I watched 32. That was I watched the entirety of 32. So that was Triple H and Roman Reigns main eventing in Dallas. I watched I guess snippets of 34 because I just pulled up the match card and I remember watching the clips of Undertaker squashing John Cena, which is so disappointing. That's what happened with them. But yeah, 33, the one that took place in Orlando. Did not watch this. Did not watch 34. Did not watch 35. 35 was the women's main event, which shot that. 36, that was the first two-parter. That was the pandemic one. Did not watch that one. Did not watch 37. Did not watch 38. Came back with 39. That's how long I would keep track of everything that's been kind of going on. I'll watch clips and stuff, but actually setting my ass down and watching a PLE, 39 was my first one back. So it had been a while. 32 to 39 was my drop off period. It had been a damn while.
It's unfortunate that you didn't see WrestleMania 33. Well, you didn't really grow up with the Hardy Boys then, so that wouldn't have been as big of a pop for you as an everyday wrestling fan.
See, that is actually where you're wrong, because I do love Jeff Hardy because I loved him in his TNA run. Because I did mention to you that I did watch some TNA around that time, and I loved him in TNA.
It's unfortunate how he ended in TNA, but
I know.
It happens.
I know.
You didn't really miss much for that WrestleMania either. I think probably my favorite match from that WrestleMania was Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho, especially the lead up to that match. That was a hilarious lead up with the whole list of Jericho and everything. Yep. You just made the list. That was so good.
I do remember the entire the Jericho list. I remember the friendship festival and I remember all of that. Yeah. No, I mean I just didn't watch it at the time. That's kind of where I started to fall off, but all the clips, saw all the clips, man, had a great time for it. Ricky, welcome back. So what about you? What got you into wrestling? I'll tell you mine after the show. We'll rehash that later.
All right. Yeah. Sorry, it took me a little bit longer than I thought, but starting with the list of Jericho, I was actually in Memphis on that show whenever he introduced the list of Jericho to begin with Mick Foley and everything like that. It was epic because one of the things that all right, so I don't think they use him anymore because I haven't seen him. There used to be a guy that always wore a blue shirt and a backwards red hat. He was basically the guy who would get the fans involved around the ringside area. I think his name was Kyle. And during intermission, it was commercial breaks. It was a live show. I remember when Chris Jericho was going back and forth with him, and finally he goes, "You know what, Kyle? I don't suck. Let me tell you why. Because I'm not from Memphis." It was just, it got the crowd going because we all laughed, and it's Jericho. So growing up, I knew about wrestling. I had a handful of people that was surrounded by me that was involved in wrestling quite a bit. My uncle, still a diehard fan, to this very day. And I was always under that impression that I didn't want to watch anything that was just that fake, is what I call it, which that's what we call the F word. If you ever hear about the F word in wrestling term, fake is the F word in wrestling terms. So I was always of that mindset. I'd never understood. And I don't take me wrong, there were times I would sit down and I would watch some shows here and there, just if I was at their house or whatever it was, but I never really got into it. And I never understood why. Then when I went to college in 06, the fall of 06, I met this guy. His name is Larry Stepter. I'm still friends with him to this day. I'll keep up with him. He is a coach. He coaches a middle school team for one of the districts of Memphis. And he also has a semi-professional basketball team that he also has in Memphis. So he's very, very active. His nickname was King, like Larry the King Stepter. That's kind of what he kind of got his persona, because one of Memphis's big things obviously is Jerry the King Lawler. Yeah. So we hit it off really well. One of the things that him and another friend of mine, Jason Pate, we'd be in the back of the dorm, and they would be playing one of the Raw versus SmackDown games. They would always do one-on-one matches. It was so fun. It was so fun to watch. Like it was just fun to watch. It was funny to watch them and everything like that. And one day, out of the blue, it was the spring of 07. I still remember to this day which Raw episode it was. It was the episode that they had a special kid that was there, and Mick Foley had come out with this kid. This kid announced who was going to face John Cena. I think it was Judgment Day was the next pay-per-view, and it was going to be a big match. It was supposed to be a big match between him, Shawn Michaels, Edge. There was a couple of others that was involved with it, and so. However, that very next week is when the Great Khali came in and basically devoured every single one of them. And that's when John Cena and the Great Khali started feuding. You know, they started having their feud.
That stupid feud.
What now?
That stupid feud. Great Khali, man.
I mean, but what else were you going to do with the Great Khali? Yeah. Anyways, because they were trying to build John Cena real strong at the time. Because, he was, at that point, he was starting to be built up toward the face of the company. That's when I really started paying attention and watching wrestling as a whole. That's when I really said, you know what? I'm going to get into this and see what all the hype is. Now, I fast forward all these years later, I understand what the hype is.
Right.
I understand the wrestling business. I understand the way these wrestlers think. For those of y'all who do not know, I do work for a couple of independent wrestling companies.
Yep.
One of them is on a hiatus right now. They're hoping to come back next year. Who knows? The other one, so that's IPCW, which was out of Jacksonville, which I think they're gonna. There's a lot of things they need to do before they come back, and hopefully they'll be able to come back. Vapors Championship Wrestling is out of Hot Springs. They do a show every other month. Those are the two main ones I work for. I have gone to Alma and worked for GCW up Northwest, and then on the 17th of August, here in a couple of Saturdays from now, I'm going to go up to Leachville and work for TNR. And then TNR is going to also do the owner of TNR. Me and him have something cooking, which I can't announce it yet because I'm waiting on approval. But I referee for these. I referee for them. So I got into refereeing with the independent. It was an independent. They're called Out of Control Wrestling. They're out of Hoxie, which is up in Northeast Arkansas as well. And so for those of y'all who wonder how much into it I got, that's how much I got into it, because I really wanted to learn the way wrestlers think when they come up with their gimmicks and come up with their ideas. I've seen some wrestlers who I think have the utmost potential. They may not have WWE potential. I've seen maybe 2, maybe 3 wrestlers tops that I can say this gimmick can be a WWE gimmick. There's just a few other things that they've got to piece out. But I work with some great guys, some great wrestlers, some fantastic characters. Some of the characters I still don't understand just because of what they do. A lot of them I get it. And so that's how much depth that I've got into it is now I think like they do. When I see something creative, I think, they did all right, but I think this could make it better. I think that way. And one of the things, I'll just be honest, one of the things that I love about wrestling, you go to a show, there are people that you don't normally see come out of their shell until you see them in front of a wrestling crowd. There are people that will go to a wrestling show that you may not necessarily see come out in public at all unless it's a wrestling show. That's why I love wrestling, because wrestlers have crazy minds, and wrestlers will be the first ones to tell you they're not normal. I'm not normal.
At least you admit it.
I'm serious though, but that's just the only way that I can really think of is when you find a way to reach those people who don't like to get out very much. You know you're doing something right. You can relate to them, and that's, to me, it's almost like when people tell me now, because I didn't think this way back then. when people tell me now they don't want to see something that's fake, we go to the movies and we see fake stuff happen all the time. We're into like I don't know about you guys. I know some of you guys are. I don't. I'm pretty sure we're all into like Marvel.
Yeah.
Little bit of DC, things like that. They're not real, but we love it because it tells a story. That's what wrestling does. Wrestling is when wrestlers come together, they put athletic abilities together and they tell a story, it becomes intriguing. That's why I became intrigued, because I started seeing storylines that made sense to me with wrestlers that some of the wrestlers I already knew about whenever I did start watching. But that's what intrigues me the most, is when you can get two guys or two ladies together who tell a story. It's intriguing and it makes me want to stay in it. And that's why I'm a wrestling fan. I absolutely love it. I love it. As Jakub talked about earlier, he loves talking wrestling more than he does football. I'm not sure if I'm on that same page or not, but you can get me talking wrestling and football all day long, and I'll do it.
Well, hey, ATSN's a great place for it, my friend. Shout out.
Absolutely.
I do kind of want to attest to what Ricky's saying, with the whole like mindset that people have that it's fake and that they don't understand that it's really two stunt men or women telling a story. Now, I will attest to it. It is not fake. I don't know if I've told you guys this story or not, but years ago, this was like a few years before COVID. This was like back in 2017. It's fresh out of high school, the year after I graduated. I was actually training for a wrestling promotion, a local wrestling promotion called PWA. Not the PWA, but a PWA. And I was training for 6 months. I had my gimmick ready to go and everything. I had my attire ready to go. I still have my attire in my storage unit. I should show you guys that sometime.
Please.
I think that'd be pretty cool.
Please.
Please do.
But it was 2 days before my match was supposed to actually happen, and we were practicing at the gym, and I was on the top turnbuckle, and I lost my footing and fell off the top turnbuckle. It hit the back of my head on the top turnbuckle, and that's how I got my 6th concussion. Now, I still could have been ready to go, but I am no longer medically cleared to be able to wrestle in the state of Ohio. So
you and concussions, bro.
Yeah. I mean, I should have figured that, because once you have one concussion, you're more susceptible to keep having them over and over and over again. So, having 5 of them going into that whole training session, I should have known that it was probably going to happen, but I wanted to live a dream, and that was a dream of being a wrestler. And I was really shot right in the heart.
And in the head.
That's the real part about wrestling, Jakub, is that you're in the ring with someone else, sometimes even multiple people. Storyline and the wrestling part go hand in hand.
Yeah.
Because you could just go out there and throw a good match, but it's the story behind it.
Yeah.
Like there are sometimes you're just going to go out there and wrestle. That that's part of, especially like house shows and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But like we see in the WWE, like we see in AEW, TNA, whatever it is that you watch, the story makes it real intriguing. And as we know in history, one of my favorite rivalries of all time, even though I wasn't watching wrestling religiously, I have watched these matches. I have looked back on this storyline and watched these episodes when Matt Hardy and Edge were going back and forth.
Oh
with
my
the Lita
God.
thing.
Yeah.
And I don't. So there is another podcast that is out there called Something to Wrestle with Bruce Pritchard, and Conrad Thompson. I don't know if they do many episodes anymore with Bruce Pritchard being so busy, but I love how he tells that story of how everything went down. They took something that happened in real life, they made money off of it. It's absolutely terrific. Absolutely terrific.
Yeah, I've heard that. I mean, it's one of those things, if all parties were fine with it, hey, make some money off of it. It's an unfortunate situation, but if all parties are fine with it, let's make some money. You know what I mean? And that was a great rivalry, man. I mean, that was fantastic. All right, boys, let's jump into some SummerSlam stuff. I do have one final question, and we're just gonna fire it off All right, and then we can jump into SummerSlam stuff. This is, again, further like, hey, first wrestling show, let the listeners get to know us. Favorite all-time wrestler, favorite wrestler of today. You can do men and women's if you would like. Just shoot them off.
For men's, okay, so here is the hardest part about that question, Alex, because
shoot it off, Ricky.
So many. I'm just saying, there's so much. There's so much.
I know.
When it comes to the character, it's the Undertaker.
That's fair.
When it comes to in-ring performance,
just overall
technical wrestling. I mean, overall, my favorite wrestler is probably going to be Roman Reigns. I mean, there's so many reasons for that.
So I guess that also counts as your favorite wrestler of today. So favorite overall and favorite of today.
I would have to say yes.
It would technically, yeah.
And so, but yeah, if you're going to go by technical but there's so many good ones. On the women's side, and it's not because of her daddy, it's because she was able to set her own tone, her own way, and it wasn't even a dream of hers. It was her brother's, that Charlotte Flair. I still think she's the great. Now, I will say this much. Rhea Ripley has the best chance to overtake that. I'm just telling y'all that. I love Rhea Ripley.
Yeah.
Love Rhea Ripley.
What about you, Jacob?
All time, if we're talking all promotions, it's Christopher Daniels.
Okay, respect.
If we're talking just WWE, it's Chris Benoit. If we're talking modern day, say his name.
And he appears.
I believe in Joe Hendry.
Respect.
There you go. There you go.
What about you, John?
All time, I would say, going with what I grew up with, what I've always been partial to, would have been The Rock.
Okay.
Current favorite, Gunther.
Oh, yeah.
That's respect. That's mad respect for Gunther.
Gunther is my absolute favorite right now. On the women's side, I got two women leading the pack for me currently, and it's again, I'm a massive Rhea Ripley fan, but Tiffany Stratton is slowly raising her way up on my list.
Tiffy time.
He's getting there. Yep, he's getting there. I didn't think someone like Tiffany Stratton would get up there, but I'm starting to buy into. And that's the thing, though, guys. With me, I have to buy into it.
Yeah.
And at first, I didn't buy into Rhea Ripley at first. I was the same way with Roman Reigns. I didn't buy into either one of them until they got to their dark character.
Yeah,
when
true.
I started seeing their dark character, and because that's the best of them came out.
It is
during that time. But
no one got into Roman Reigns until he became the tribal chief, because he was just being shoved down here. He wasn't a good guy. That's all it was.
No.
For me, my favorite all time, which I guess like Ricky would be a technicality because he's still wrestling today, but I am going to break it up because I do have a modern day favorite, a very clear modern day favorite. Favorite all time for me would be CM Punk. I mean, like I said, I have a huge attachment to the character. Phenomenal era with him, the stuff with Randy Orton, him becoming WWE champion, that whole run, that was fantastic. Loved it. Favorite modern day, and it's not close, Seth freaking Rollins. Dude, such a great in-ring performer, great on the mic. Chicago Bears fan, shout out. Stop it, Jacob. So Seth Rollins is awesome. In terms on the women's side, AJ Lee is probably my favorite all time. On modern day, this is gonna be a stupid answer, but all you got to do is just make me laugh, and I'm here for it. Fucking love Chelsea Green. Chelsea Green is give her a mid-card title.
By that.
Give her a mid-card title.
I forgot to say my favorite women's, which it's kind of my favorite all time and also my favorite modern day. Toni Storm.
All right, yeah, okay, fair. Yeah, she's doing fantastic right now.
WWE fumbled the bag with her. They completely fumbled it.
Yeah.
They were also in the Vince McMahon era when that happened.
True.
Women
in tag teams didn't exist during his run.
Well, we are in the Paul Levesque era, and with the Paul Levesque era, we are in the first SummerSlam in the Paul Levesque era. So let's dive into it, boys. Because as of now, we got SmackDown tomorrow on August 2nd. I don't see any matches getting added, but you never know. Something can get added. But as of now, we got 7 matches going into this upcoming Sunday. I'm just going to jump around the list, to kind of save the big ones for last. But let's start off with what I feel like is probably going to be the easiest one on this list that I think we can probably all agree on. Logan Paul, champion, United States champion versus LA Knight. How are we feeling on this, boys? How are we feeling? Yeah. Here we go. It's time. It's a year past time.
Past time. It should have happened a year ago.
Ricky, don't be the one. Don't be the one guy. Come on.
Yeah.
There we go. All right. Yep. No, it's past time, and I can't wait for LA Knight to get this title, man, because this title is going to go to all new heights with him. Like legit, I can't wait. It's going to be awesome.
This is what the title needed. This is what the title needed, and akin to what the Intercontinental Championship had with Gunther.
Yep, I agree 100%. Let's go Bayley and Nia Jax for the WWE Women's Championship.
Please, the love of God, Bayley, please.
I talked myself out of what I said over the weekend. Nia.
Whoa, okay.
See, so John was on the Bayley boat when he and I talked about on Game Static on Saturday. I was on I think it's going to go to Nia. But
I've been thinking about it. I think it's going to.
Let's see.
I think it should.
What's funny, John, is you and I have flipped because now I'm going Bayley.
Let's go.
We have flipped over the week. I will also add this. I do not believe Tiffy time will happen because they're
not yet.
No, I don't think this is not it. Because I will say this. Like I do see Nia winning the title sometime this year. I don't know if it will be. Well, actually, hold on. Let me think about it some more. Because I just realized something. Do you really want to have your first Queen of the Ring lose? Yeah. I don't know. May go Nia now. I may go flip back to Nia. I just thought of that. It's the very first Queen of the Ring. So, maybe Nia. But my bottom line is this. Tiffy time will not happen this weekend. I do think Tiffy time will happen, and it will happen on Nia. Nia will be the champion when Tiffy time happens. They're going to basically rinse and repeat the Daniel Bryan Big Show friendship when he cashed in on Big Show and Mark Henry. Same thing's going to happen. I'm calling it now.
So, I'm just going to confess something about Bayley, and you guys are probably going to disagree with me. I don't think Bayley's very good at all on the microphone whatsoever.
John's like, thank you.
I think she has potential. I think she has potential. The best thing for now, I will be honest with you. I thought the best storyline for Bayley was whenever she got away from Damage Control. That storyline between her and Io Sky, get away from Damage
Control.
That's when I really I started buying into Bayley a little bit because she showed a side to us that she never really had. I honestly think she needs a manager like Paul Heyman to talk for her because. And especially if she does another heel turn, get her off the microphone. I'm not the biggest Nia Jax fan. I'm just not. I never have been. So. I think with her, I think she's better now this go run than what she was the last go run she had with WWE. I don't know what they're gonna do with this though. That's the only thing. Part of me wants to say that they're gonna let Nia Jax wins, but I think overall, I think WWE sticks with Bayley in this one. I got Bayley.
I'm with you, Alex. I don't think Tiffy time happens this weekend. I do think that Bayley wins this weekend, but they run it back the following PLE with her and Nia. Nia wins, and Tiffy time I think is gonna happen at WrestleMania.
Yeah, Tiffy time's gonna be a ways off because. I mean, she for one, she's got to get her like pink sparkled briefcase, and then she's got to be carrying that around for a few months.
Yeah.
So purely for merchandise reasons.
Yeah, 100%.
Yep. The problem why I think they almost should go Nia is because I mean Bayley's been champion. Bayley's done nothing as champion so far.
Yeah.
It's kind of the same problem that we've had until Rhea came back with Liv, where Liv didn't feel like the world champion or like the women's world champion because she wasn't being portrayed as the champion. Bayley's like never portrayed at all. She's never talked about until not like Nia comes out or something. It's it's like they gave, like, she got the title because it was the right thing to do.
Yep.
But they didn't have a plan. They're just like, okay, we're gonna give you the belt. You can hold on to it for a while. But if they're not gonna do anything, at least give it to Nia, or if you're gonna keep it on Bayley, give her something to do.
Yeah, true. I feel like with the Bayley thing, I'm gonna be honest, boys. I think we could have gone with Bayley and Damage Control a little bit longer. I think they cut that prematurely. Like, great Mania match. We're gonna look back at that match years from now. It's like that's an underrated gem that no one's gonna be talking about as much because there's so many other good matches, you know. But like they cut that storyline short. That would have been Bayley's storyline to really get us invested. You know
choice.
I mean, I get it. You know, I get it, but it's like they should have had the choice and pushed that one a little bit longer. I don't think it should have ended after right then and there. I would like Bayley to win. But I'm gonna now thinking about it again, I think I'm gonna officially lock in Nia because I just don't see. It's tough for me to see them having the first Queen of the Ring lose, you know, with their first match. You know what I mean? Like that's the only thing that I'm looking at right now. Now that I'm thinking about it more, so I'm gonna go Nia officially. I think I'm gonna stick with Nia. That's what I said on Saturday. I'm sticking with it. I'm going Nia Jax.
Ricky, what was your? I'm writing all these down so I can keep a tab on all of our predictions.
I've got Bayley.
All right, what about Sami and Bronn? Is it time for Bronn? Is it time to put the rocket on him?
Oh, I would strap the
Ilya
rocket.
was added to this, by the way.
Huh?
Ilya Dragunov was added to this.
Wait, what?
Yeah, it's a triple threat match now.
Yeah, I didn't see that.
I think it should. I want it to go to Bronn, but also, if they're gonna give this title to Ilya, they need to give it to him now so that he can have a run and they can push him up the card. Because I want to see him and Gunther later on.
Oh yeah.
But that's not going to happen until after Ilya has his Intercontinental run. I would prefer to see Bronn right now.
I think it's going to be a while before you see Ilya and Gunther go at it.
That's going to be a long ways away, but that's like I'm like that's one of my most excited matches when it does happen.
Mania. It's going to happen at Mania.
The one thing with WWE, and they have done this before in the past, and I understand that we're in a different era, they have put people in way too fast, try to move them up way too fast, and then they just completely blow and fail. Ilya is one of those that you've got to give the fans time to buy into his character. I understand he was in NXT. Not everybody watches NXT. So you got to give him time to actually make sure people understand that character before you just shove him in a match with Gunther. Because it has to mean something. And in order for him to do that, like you said, he has to have an Intercontinental Championship run, but I think he has to have more than that. Because you're going to have to build him up. You're going to have to put him up with big-time guys on the roster. I think he's going to need matches with people like CM Punk, maybe Seth Rollins and Drew McIntyre. Guys like that are big on the card before you say, hey, let's put him in a match with Gunther. I think it's going to be at least 2 years before we even see him on that level where they're like, okay, let's put him up against Gunther. I could be wrong. I've been wrong in the past before. But I'm just saying in general, as much as I agree with you, I would love to see it. It's going to be a while before we see that.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be a while.
I think Bronn gets it this time. I think they're going to take it off Sami.
I think the only reason they didn't take it off Sami in the previous Bronn match is because
they wanted to do it at a bigger show, because that's kind of my thought.
He wants to do title changes at like the 4 big shows if they're going to happen.
Yeah, especially when you look at SummerSlam, it's supposed to be like a WrestleMania 2.0 going to 2 nights starting next year. Like, this is the second biggest show of the year.
Which, my only complaint, if that's going to be the case and Bronn does get the win here, I kind of wish they didn't do the match like a month ago.
That's fair. Yeah, where he already lost clean a month ago.
Clean. Just one haluva kick.
Right.
Yeah, one. I was like, come on.
Yeah.
Now, I will say... Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, that was my big complaint
he was
after
pissed.
That show. Because they presented... All they did was put Bronn in fucking squash matches for months leading up to to it, and then he gets in there and he loses clean to one haluva kick.
Yeah.
That just happens out of nowhere.
Right.
It's like, come on, if you're gonna push this guy and try to like put a rocket to him, it's like, don't have him lose him and then a month later put him in there just to win because it's a bigger show.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I will say, I do predict that Bronn will not be pinned whatsoever in this match. I think they will protect him from here on out. I think hopefully they realize what they did at the last PLE. I think that was complete. I mean, I get the Sami underdog thing, him overcoming the odds time and time again, kind of getting a little old in my opinion. He needs to go back to the bloodline, which I think
that's happening.
We'll get into that.
That's a possibility, my man. That's a possibility. Hopefully we'll get there. But Jakub, here's something else you got to remember. You can't just take the title off of Sami just like that. You got to give it a little bit of time. For the simple fact is, he just beat someone who held it for, God forbid, 666 days. Anyway, so in some ways, I understood why they did what they did. But whenever they came out and they started wrestling, I'm like, yeah, Bronn's got this. And then all of a sudden, like y'all said, one hell of a kick, it's over. Yeah. So
my prediction, I'm going to Ilya on this one.
Good for you, man. I really want to go Ilya, but I don't think so.
Where do you see that it became a triple threat? Because I'm trying to find it.
CBS Sports. It was updated as of yesterday.
Okay, because like even on like WWE website, I didn't see where it was on that. Like it was like on WWE's website, it's still showing just Bronn and Sami. So that's I'm trying to find it. I can't find it.
Here, where are you at? There you are.
I'm here. Which one are you sending it to? My main?
Zeno. Yeah.
All right, let me pull up my phone then, since it's the one.
Oh yes, I see where you got that on CBS. Yeah.
Unless CBS just kind of leaked something that they weren't supposed to yet.
Let's see. Oh yeah, I see it there. Sami, Bronn, and Ilya. When did that? I can't find it anywhere else. All right, we'll pretend CBS is right. I can't find it anywhere else.
Ilya. If Ilya's not in the match, then I'm picking Bronn.
Okay, right. So we'll add that asterisk for you. I'm gonna go with Bronn. I do agree, Ricky, that I think you need to let Sami's reign actually cook and give him meaningful feuds that they really haven't given him up until just now. Well, that's not true because the Chad one's great, but like, you're building him up with some good feuds, right? And kind of building up what that title is. But I'm kind of in the mindset. I see both storylines and I see both being good ideas of keep the belt on Sami, let his reign continue to build, and even have a distinguished Intercontinental Championship or, with him Intercontinental Champion, building that into the Usi coming back, the honorary Us, right? And like he's like coming in with more firepower because he's a dope ass champion that's had some dope ass feuds. But I also see the argument of like Bronn's there, like mic work, ring work. Bronn's there. Put this title on him, let him go to the moon with it, and let Sami go straight into Bloodline stuff. Him and Jay win tag titles, do the whole thing, all leading to Bloodline stuff. Obviously, no unification. They're not going to do that. But you know what I mean? It's like I see both sides, and I see where both sides can work. I'm going to go Bronn, though, as my official pick. I think it's I think Bronn is the future star of the WWE. I really do. And I think this is the time to put a title on him, let him have his first, John Cena US title run, let him have, his mid-card run where he dominates, or the Gunther Intercontinental Champion, let him just do his thing and dominate and then get up to the main card. Because the main card is still obviously so crowded. There's not a place for him now, but there's that place for him to run that mid-card like Gunther did. So I see both sides, though. I'm personally fine with both sides. I know John's not. John's like, it better be Bronn or I'm done. I'm cool with either side, but I want it to go to Bronn. I do.
This is one of those things like I mentioned, I started getting back into it about a year and a half ago or so. So I've got like no attachment to Sami Zayn right now.
That's fair.
from what I've seen of him in the last year, like he's been there, but he's kind of been. I mean, if you'd been watching, you'd see the story with him. From my perspective, he's kind of just he shows up here and there, and everybody loves him.
Yeah.
Whereas, I mean, I've been watching Bronn, and I'm like, okay, it's like I was like, okay, yeah, they need to take the title off Gunther. Sami's a good person to do it. I'm over this reign. I've been over it for a little while. I'm probably in the minority on that, honestly. But I mean, I do get the fact that you can't just take it off of him immediately.
Yeah.
Because you have to make his reign mean something since he did defeat Gunther.
Yeah. And then that's why I see both sides.
Can we put Sami back in the Bloodline storyline and please, for the love of God, rescue Kevin Owens?
Oh, I know.
Get
right?
him out of the Bloodline storyline, please.
Right.
Him and Randy, man, they're just
the fact that
stuck.
Randy doesn't have a SummerSlam match is so disappointing.
Right?
That's so sad.
I thought they would have at least had a tag team match or something.
Keep in mind, we still have a SmackDown, so you never know. Like, you know, for the listeners, this is August 1st when we're recording this. We still got a SmackDown. Who knows what can happen? But it is kind of depressing. We got no Randy match on Saturday. All right, what about Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley for the Women's World Championship?
I'll start with this one.
I know me and John are on the same page, unless John is flipped.
There's going to be some shenanigans in this one, boys. There's going to be some big shenanigans. Whether it's going to be an interference by Dom, or it's an interference by Finn, or it's an interference by both of them. I think very well it could be both of them interfering. And with that being said, I think Liv comes out on top for this one.
There we go. That's the answer right there, baby. Liv is walking out champion. The chase is a much better storyline for Rhea than just giving it back to Rhea. Because the thing is, if you give it back to Rhea, I'm sorry, the Liv Rhea storyline's dead, in my opinion. You can pick it back up next pay-per-view, whatever. It's not going to have anywhere near the fuel that it has if Liv wins. Like, I think Rhea's not going to win the title again until Mania. I think we're going to see a Rhea chase to Mania, which I think is going to make a great storyline. I'm here for it. Liv's going to win. And it's going to be because of shenanigans, though. I will say that. It will not be clean. It will not be clean. It will be shenanigans.
If Rhea wins here, the problem that I see, if Rhea wins here, I don't see any other female being able to beat her.
Yeah.
Right now.
Until May,
I don't see anybody else that is on a platform big enough to beat her.
Yeah, because the biggest ones that would, be able to beat her are not on Raw,
Yeah.
Because I would say like Bianca Belair would be in that conversation. And I would say
started with that hair twirling, no good wrestling Bianca Belair crap.
Whoa. She's a star, man.
I know.
She's a star. She's a star.
Yeah, bull crap.
And Jade Cargill is going to be a future star whether we like it or not.
She is absolutely terrible. Why would you bring her up? No, hell no.
No. You know
who's terrible? I just gotta say, I'm glad I'm not the only fucking person.
Thank you. See, me,
wow.
Me and you just need to do a show together. Jacob, Alex, you're kicked off. Go.
Wow.
It's like with Bianca, the thing I don't get it. She's got the hair strand. People like her. I don't get it.
I've never
been impressed by any of her matches.
She's honestly just becoming the John Cena of the women's division. Like, let's be real.
Yeah.
That's what she is. 100%. That's what she is.
Yeah, it's like I get that. It's just nothing I've seen from her has given me any indication that she should be the star.
I'm just saying
she was better in NXT. I will say her NXT run has been by far leagues above her WWE run.
Look, I'm just saying from a WWE star power standpoint, Bianca would be the one to beat Rhea. That's all I'm saying. Talent or not, Bianca would be the one. But back to Liv and Rhea, though.
I'd say back to Liv and Rhea. I think, I'm 100% on board. Liv is walking out champion.
Yep.
You guys are saying shenanigans. I don't think there will be any actual in-ring interference. I think Dom's coming down. I think Finn's coming down. They won't actually do any interference, but they're presence is going to cause the distraction to Rhea, which is going to give Liv the opportunity.
To add on to that, I think this match is what solidifies the civil war between the group.
I agree.
If Judgment Day still exists after this show, I'm probably gonna be a little pissed.
It's kind of for me, it's unfortunate because I like Judgment Day. I like the fact that they added JD McDonough. I like the fact that they added Carlito out of nowhere, which was weird at first.
Okay, I will say
now
he needed something. To do.
I do like Carlito's addition. I like members of the group. I don't like the group as a whole because they don't do anything. They're just kind of there and they say they run Raw, but then they go out and they lose 70% of their matches.
Facts.
Yeah, they've kind of turned them into a little bit of a comedy act.
Yes.
Especially with Carlito, he's just there to make jokes and say stuff's cool or not cool. He's the best part of it that's been around lately.
Whether people like it or not, Dominic Mysterio is probably the best heel in WWE now currently, just because of the amount of boos. You can't even hear him talk while he's on TV, and it reminds me of the Vicky Guerrero days. I don't know what it is about the Guerreros and the Mysterios, but man, they get some loud pops, and I don't like I said, Dom. I don't like. I'm just telling that's the one thing that Dom has, and he's underrated in my opinion. Like there's a lot of things about Dom. Like I think there's still a lot of growing that he needs to do mature wise. I think everybody can agree with that. But as far as like starting out goes, I can't think of many wrestlers who have started out with a loud ooh and a loud pop the way that he's been able to get, especially this early in his career. Part of me wants to think that Dom's going to be the one that turns on Judgment Day. For the simple fact is that they've kind of foreshadowed this going up. Because if you guys remember, Dom has been kind of going out on his own away from Judgment Day quite a bit here lately.
Yeah.
Whether it's talking with Andrade, which before Andrade made a face turn, the whole Carlito thing coming in, the LWO feud, things like that. I really thought him and Liv Morgan were going to kind of run away with each other, sort of. There for a little bit. So I'm kind of wondering what they're going to do there. But then I also see the Finn Balor side of it because Finn Balor has also been a part of that Liv Morgan type thing. So you can kind of see a civil war there. It just makes me wonder what they're going to do with it. I think Liv wins regardless. I don't. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to do a title change right now.
I will say from who's going to be like leaving and stuff. My prediction: Dom and Finn both. Are they going to necessarily be on the same side when they leave? Like, are Dom and Finn going to be on a team together? No, but I think they're both going to leave Judgment Day because I think a money match that's going to happen is going to be Finn and Priest, regardless if Priest is champion or not. I think that's going to be a money match. And I think Dom going with Liv, I think is money for the Rhea Liv storyline. I think they're both going to leave Judgment Day. Genuinely, does that mean they're going to necessarily be on the same side? I mean, maybe. If they both just side with Liv, then yeah, sure. But I think both are going to leave Judgment Day.
Pixel has decided to make an appearance as well.
Shout out to Pixel. What about June? Is June still in the other room?
Yeah.
Shout out to June. But I'm glad we're all in agreement with Liv. It's the right move. It's the right move. Since I mentioned Priest, what about Priest and Gunther, World Heavyweight Champion?
Gunther, get it off of Priest. Look, good Lord Almighty. I thought Gunther was ready. I'm not Gunther. I thought Damien Priest was ready for this. Damien Priest, since day one of winning it, has shown he's not ready to be in that big spotlight. And he has a load of talent, top to bottom, one of the most talented athletes, one of the most charismatic type figures I've ever seen in my entire life. And he has completely splattered and done absolutely horrible as a World Heavyweight Champion. That was... I understood why they gave him the Money in the Bank. I understood why they put him in the spot. I thought they gave him enough time, but I will say this much. I think because they had to pull the trigger on Edge to turn back to babyface after all the injuries that happened, I really think he needed more time with Edge. And if you would have given him at least one more year with Edge, because remember, if you listen, there was a podcast Edge had done.
Yeah, he talks
here a while
about it
back, and he talks about how the Judgment Day was supposed to go one more year before the Finn Balor turn, or before they turned on him. And so, because that was the plan the entire time, I think he needed more time with Edge, because Edge would have been able to give him that kind of deal of, hey, this is what to expect when you're World Heavyweight Champion. This is what you need to do. He doesn't have that right now, because technically, of all the ones there, I think Finn Balor's the one that's been there the longest with WWE between those four. And Finn Balor's championship was short-lived because of his injury. And so, but no, it's been an absolute travesty on what Finn has done. He needs more time. I think he'll be champion again one day. But Gunther right now is outside of Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns has not come back yet. Gunther is probably, if not the biggest star, he's on up there right now. Gunther should win this one.
I hate to break it to you, fellas. Damien's not losing this title to Gunther. He's going to be losing it to Finn. And it's not going to be a clean win on Saturday. There's going to be some interference by Giovanni Vinci.
So I'm going to be
true.
I'm going to be very real with you. My official pick is Gunther, but I will not be shocked in the slightest if Priest walks out champion.
Yeah, I just want to say, based on what I've said previously, none of that changes. Priest is walking out champion.
Oh, he's a hard lock.
I preemptively wrote down Gunther on your name. Like it's preemptively wrote down there. You were the first one I wrote down.
The reasoning that Gunther or that Priest is going to walk out champion is he's losing it this year. I've talked myself into a Mania match that needs the title, and Gunther's not going to lose it that soon. I think Mania is going to have a rematch of one of these SummerSlam matches. It's going to be Punk versus Drew for the World Heavyweight Championship at Mania, which requires Priest to have the title to lose it to one of them.
Here's where I'm going to disagree with you, my friend. Here's where I'm going to disagree with you. All right? Now, I will agree with you if they somehow, some way get the World Heavyweight Championship on SmackDown and they go to SmackDown. One thing you have to remember, Netflix is going to have Raw in January, and one of their demands is Roman Reigns needs to be on Raw because he is the biggest superstar currently in the WWE.
Is that
right
one of
now.
Netflix's demands? I haven't heard that.
It is.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
I mean, it makes sense. I get it. I get it.
So as much as I don't see that happening. I don't see a Drew and CM Punk at WrestleMania. I see the original plan for WrestleMania, which would have been Punk and Rollins. I do see that happening, even though I think they're going to go much sooner than that, because I don't think they're going to be able to drag on this storyline much longer. But I think they give Reigns the title back at WrestleMania next year.
Which title?
The World Heavyweight Championship. He'll be on Raw.
So he'll get it. He'll get it for the first time. Then that's another accolade for him.
Yes.
Go on historic with that.
He'll hold that title hostage too. Then
basically.
Lovely. Thanks, Ricky.
So I'm gonna stick with my official pick of Gunther. I'm gonna stick with Gunther, but like I said, it wouldn't shock me if Priest wins. It just won't. I think this is the most unpredictable match. Actually, not true. This is the second most unpredictable match on this entire card, in my opinion. Is Priest and Gunther.
Wait, so I got are you saying that Mania is gonna be Reigns versus whoever's the champion for the belt?
Possibly.
See,
I disagree with that. I
disagree with that because Reigns is going to have a bigger match at Mania.
Yeah, I think it's going to be with The Rock.
Could be. Could be.
I think he will have a match against, probably against The Rock, for either The Rock or he'll have a match with like Solo and someone else. It'll be some sort of bloodline related match.
I thought the whole plan was for The Rock and Cody to face each other at WrestleMania.
I think that's going to happen sooner.
And that's where I think you could see a twist because of Cody and Rock first. Because I think they're going to drag this on out as much as they possibly can because the way the storylines are going right now. And so that's one reason why. That's another reason why, like, I agree with you, John. Like, I agree that, I want to see Reigns and Rock, but they could drag it on one more year. It's The Rock we're talking about. And so that's why I say Reigns will face whoever, get the title, and then we'll see. Like I said, though, I just know Netflix's demands, and when you're paying that much money, and you gotta have your biggest stars on there. And Reigns, whether you love him or whether you hate him, I love the guy. He's done terrific. He's done terrific in the WWE. He's the highest paid superstar in the WWE. And I think he will add on that accolade next year.
Okay. I will also add to this one last little tidbit on the Priest Gunther thing. One reason why I've convinced myself Gunther will still win, even though I still see the argument for Priest, is like in Gunther's case, because of the feud that's Priest and Gunther, and like Gunther being Gunther with the aura that he's got. And I know, you can counter argue me and say, well, what about Rhea? Rhea's got the same, aura. I agree, but Rhea's got a much better money storyline happening right now that warrants the chase. I don't think Gunther has the story, the rivalry to warrant the chase, right? I think Gunther, with the status that he is, taking the title now, I think makes sense for him as a storyline and character, and carry it to Mania for the money match with Ilya, right? I don't think Gunther I think Gunther exceeds the idea of the chase for the title to WrestleMania, because you got to keep in mind he is a heel. Like he doesn't need to chase. Just from based on that, the storylines that are the most enticing for the fans and for the money is for the face to go after the chase. I mean, Rhea's basically become a face now with the live Rhea thing. Like I don't see Gunther being the guy that you want to have put into the chase mentality. I think he's better as the Juggernaut. Give him the title, let him be the Juggernaut, then let Ilya be the one to have the chase to give us the money match. That's why I've convinced myself to Gunther winning, is because I think it's just put the title on him, let everyone chase him, and he's in the main event people chasing him, not the mid-card people chasing him. But with all the Judgment Day meltdown and shit, I do think Finn and Priest for a World Heavyweight Championship match at a smaller PLE, I think is a money match. I would love to see it. So I see the arguments to keep it on Priest, and what we're saying for Sami, right? Let his reign kind of breathe a little bit, let it build a little bit. The difference between him and Sami is Sami has at least had one really awesome feud with Chad and a really interesting feud with Bronn. Priest hasn't really had that, and unfortunately, I know mistakes happen, but every title match Priest has had, there's been a mistake, unfortunately. There's been botches after botches in every single match. Hate to say it, but I'm calling the facts. Who I think it was Ricky, I think you're the one who said it, of where since he's got the title, he's been proven that he's not the guy. I think from mic work, I don't know what the hell happened because he's never been bad on the mic. I think from mic work, selling these feuds, I think Priest has been a mid-tier at best when selling these feuds. And then unfortunately, we've had unfortunate botches in all the matches that he's had so far for the title matches. I think from a story perspective, I just don't think Damien Priest has been there as a champion. But that's also why I can see Triple H letting him breathe with it. But again, it comes back to the fact with it being Gunther, I don't think Gunther is the right guy to go for the chase. It's just my opinion. I don't think he's built for the chase. He's got too much fucking aura as this heel, this unstoppable heel. Go ahead and put the title on him. Let him run with it. That's my personal stance on it. Ricky, you look like you're about to say something.
And just to prove, referee screwed up that match against Seth Rollins and
that was unfortunate.
Damien Priest.
That was so unfortunate.
Now, there is a because they have an earpiece in.
Yeah.
There's a possibility they said, "Hey, make sure this is not the finish." Here's the thing. I had a similar situation that just happened 2-3 weeks ago at the last show that I did for Vapors.
Yeah.
I knew the guy was supposed to kick out. He never kicked out. I counted 3 count, ring the bell, let's go. And he was pissed at me. And I said, dude, you didn't kick out.
Yep.
Part of it. You did not kick out. Oh, I would have gotten WWE in some. I'd have been in huge trouble if I was the referee for that match. I would have counted him 3. He did not kick out.
Yeah, Priest not kicking out there was that was so unfortunate because that was honestly a really good match. And then
It
now
was
everyone's going to
obvious,
talk about
though.
that.
That's the problem.
Yeah, it was.
The problem is it's so obvious. You can't cover up the obvious. You just can't do it.
I think that one of my favorite comments on that afterwards, I think, was Bubba Ray on his podcast. Was that Busted Open? I think I could be wrong.
Yeah.
He talked about it where he's just like, look, the era that I'm from, like the ref, like what they say. I mean, what like you want to keep the curtain up as much as you can. Like people realize that WWE is, not, that it's scripted. People realize that. Like, all right, people are smart enough to realize that. Like we're open about it. With documentaries, like it's open, but like you got to keep the curtain up in some capacity, man. It's like that bell should have rung. Like Seth Rollins should have been champion. Like it's just unfortunate, but that's just what happens. I mean, those things happen. I mean, we've seen titles change hands before. Like let's say like the Big Show Cody Rhodes one. That's funny. Granted, that one was supposed to happen. It was supposed to go to Cody, but not the way that it did. Like those things happen. You just got to roll with it. You got to roll with the punches. So like it's like what Ricky's. It was just too obvious. He didn't kick out. They counted to 3. It was a clear 3. What happened?
Just a couple things on that. One, yeah, I mean, I think they've said like for that one, just in the moment, Priest just forgot to kick out.
Yeah.
But also, the thing is like for this Priest versus Gunther match, I don't think this like if Priest walks out champion, it's not happening clean.
Oh no.
Like it can't be clean.
Yeah.
2, granted, I will admit I've been very underwhelmed by this Priest run. The problem is he's starting to come into his own.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, granted, about half of his promos with Gunther are still kind of underwhelming.
Yeah.
He's starting to get there with it. He's starting to at least somewhat act like a world champion.
Mm-hmm.
Which, I mean, granted, I would much rather see Gunther as the world champion. But if you want him to have any like credibility in the future as well, I mean, give him a little bit of time to. It's like as he's starting to come into his own with it, give him a little bit of time with it. I mean, granted, he should have come into it sooner.
Yeah. And that's fair because also, like, to your point, I mean, like I was saying, Gunther already has this aura. He's a all-time record holder right now for their Continental Championship reign, the longest reign, whatever. I'm going to be honest, he doesn't need the win. He doesn't need the title. He's Gunther. You know what I mean? The title's just going to make him even better. I feel like, there is that opportunity to let Priest's reign kind of breathe a little bit more, and let him kind of come into it. I'm still keeping in Gunther, but again, my stance is it will not shock me if Priest wins. But I agree with you; it will not be clean. Like it's going there, it's going to be a messy. I could see Vinci. I can see that. I can see that coming into play.
I can see Vinci coming into play and them playing a huge joke, and Gunther just takes care of him pretty quickly.
Yeah.
He's there. He runs out, runs the ring. Gunther just smashes him. And he's gone.
Done.
Yeah.
Moving on.
The thing is, I think if they're going to have an interference spot where that causes the loss, they got to have like back-to-back people. Like maybe Vinci comes out, maybe Ben or someone comes out trying to do something with it. Because if you just send one person out, Gunther's just going to beat him down and throw him out of the ring.
Yeah, get out of my sight. All right, boys. What about Punk and McIntyre with Seth freaking Rollins as a special guest referee?
Quick, easy, to the point. Give me Punk.
Yeah, Punk pins Drew.
You flipped on this. No, you said Punk last week.
No, I said Punk last week.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that we have to also realize, this is Punk's first technical one-on-one match returning
on TV. Yes.
True. And so, and of course I understand. Like I said, I think they're going to build Punk versus Rollins eventually. And so, but you have to take care of this one first. Punk wins.
So I said on Game Static Punk was going to win. And yeah, John was also pointing out to me, Drew also kind of, he's lost a lot this year, and he has. Like I said at the time that I didn't think Drew needed this. Like even if he lost and all the losses he had, I still think he's going to be a credible threat. I feel like Punk kind of needs this more, not only from like a character perspective, but also it is mostly from a character perspective. It's like, hey, you know, you're an older guy, you know, right? And you come back, your first major TV match, you get hurt and you're out. Like, you know what I mean? I feel like you need the win. But like the more I've said on it, the more I think it's going to potentially be Drew taking this dub. I can also see this match just not finishing. And I could honestly just see Seth Rollins being the one coming out on top. I could see that happening too.
That would be so Seth Rollins to do too.
I could see this match just not ending, and Drew and Punk both just laying in the ring, and Seth being the one, you know, that caused
Seth
at least
just
one
dancing
of them.
around the ring.
Yeah, I could see Seth being the true winner on Saturday. Personally, I think I'm going to change my pick. I think I'm going to lock in Drew. I think Drew's going to get this dub, but I think it's also going to be at the assistance of Seth Rollins. I'll be honest. If Drew wins, it's not going to be because Drew just wins clean and beats shit out of Punk. It's because Seth Rollins, you know, as the ref, he throws in a nice curb stomp for Punk. You know, because like, you know, Punk, love him or hate him, he's obviously the face in this whole story. Coming back to WWE after 10 years and everything. Punk, you know, Drew is the clear heel. It goes back to what I was saying earlier about the chase. I mean, you want to chase the victory for Punk. He's the face. So I think I'm gonna go with Drew with some assistance from Seth, or I'm gonna go with Seth just winning because Seth's gonna be the one that's gonna take them both out. It's gonna be one of the two. I don't know which.
The one thing you've mentioned is like you don't necessarily want the story to be of the heel with the chase, but then you got to look at Drew McIntyre.
He has been the heel with the chase, yeah.
His whole heel story has been the chase. This is like the best feud they have going on,
and
right
that's
now.
why it's time to pay off his chase and begin the next chase. So at least that's the way I kind of look at it.
The story has been he's been screwed by Punk every time. Now he's gonna get screwed by Seth, probably, and then this three-way feud is gonna continue building.
Yeah. Like overall, like the match though is gonna have some wacky shit to just continue to build these three for a triple threat. I mean, that's what's gonna happen, right?
It's gonna be one hell of a triple threat match.
Cannot wait for that match. That match is going to be legendary. And lastly, Cody Rhodes, Solo Sikoa, undisputed WWE Championship. How is this match going to play out? Is I guess the better question.
Typical bloodline shenanigans will happen. I do think that Roman comes back, but I also think that another person comes back. His film just finished up production 3 days ago. I think that The Rock is going to be there this weekend.
I feel like it's too much to have them both come back at the same time.
It's SummerSlam, man.
Never.
It's the biggest show of the summer.
What are you talking about, man? They come back anytime they want to.
Look, I think Roman. I think Roman coming back
awesome.
is. I think him coming back alone. I think is the better play than both of them because there's the storyline right now to go with Roman and Solo before we touch on the Roman and Rock later on this year at Survivor Series.
But I think Survivor Series is going to be War Games.
Well, that's what I mean.
It's not going to be one-on-one.
I know it's not, but that's
going
what
to be Bloodline versus Bloodline at Civil. Or
yeah, and The Rock's going to be involved with that Bloodline. Maybe not the match itself, but the storyline.
Oh, he'll be involved in the match.
But
with that being said, I think Cody walks out of this. Unfortunately, I still do not like Cody as a champion whatsoever. But it's storyline wise, it has to be Cody.
Yeah, he's not dropping this title. It's just more so what's all going to happen in the match, what's all going to happen, in the mayhem. Cody's not losing the title. I mean, he's not. Like the next possibility of him losing the title would be him against The Rock or him or maybe another match with Roman. You know what I mean? Like, or maybe even Randy. But like, it's you're not putting the title on Solo. You're not doing it. Like Cody's walking out. It's just more so what all happens. Like, does Jimmy come back? Is Jimmy coming back on Saturday?
I don't think that'll be big enough of a pop, to be honest.
Well,
like,
I mean,
come back.
I mean, I'm not saying as like this is your cherry on top for the show. But does he come back? As well as Roman at the end.
I think that there will not be another Samoan or Tongan debuting. I think we're at our max capacity for Pacific Islander wrestlers right now.
I do agree. I don't think there's going to be another debut, but I think it's a possibility Jimmy could return. I'm locked in. Roman's coming back. You can't convince me otherwise at this point. Roman's coming back.
Could everybody just be thrown into this? Could Jimmy come back and then Jay comes out to fight Jimmy and then Randy and Kevin come out?
Also,
or Kevin limps out,
Jay,
I should say.
I'm also shocked Jay's not on the card in some capacity. So
Right?
like that's another one.
He can't be on the card because he's got to be involved in the main event.
Exactly. Fair point.
Ah,
Jimmy and Jay both.
Same with Randy.
True.
So I'm a throw this out there because there is potential. The Rock could show up. The Rock, I'm assuming, would be on the side, like he's gonna be opposite of Cody Rhodes. He's gonna be on the side of the new bloodline in my mind. If that's the case, we got to remember one thing, that the last thing The Rock said on his last appearance, which was, when I come back, I'm not coming back for the title, I'm coming back for you, whether you hold the title or not. If he comes back and gets involved in this main event at all, as much as people would not like it, Solo could walk out as champion, and then and then you build Rock and Cody.
Could you
see
imagine that title on Solo, man? Oh, Lord.
geez.
I don't want to
Please.
see it on Solo,
That's not
but
happening.
there is a distinct. If we're looking at potentially Rock or Roman returning, if Roman returns, Cody's winning. If Rock returns, I could see it being Solo.
I could also see Roman Reigns coming back on top of The Rock, making sure that Solo doesn't win, making sure that Cody wins too, because I think he's going to have a babyface turn for a little while. I think he'll still keep that tribal chief persona, but I think he'll be more toward the babyface. But I'll say this much: I know you guys disagree. I know for a fact Jacob and Alex both disagreed with me back then. They should have let Roman keep the title for a little bit longer, because Cody Rhodes is way better as a heel than what he is as a babyface.
True.
They should have waited.
Then make him a heel
should have
champion.
waited.
Who gives a shit?
He should. They need to just push him all the way into his Homelander
That's what
persona,
I'm sa-
please.
That's what I'm saying, guys. It's because he needs to be a heel. He's a good babyface. He's not great.
Here.
And to me, title run for him has been bleh. Just like Damien Priest's title run has been bleh. All right, so I'm just saying it's not great right now, guys. I'm telling
Now,
you.
I
will
just want
say.
to.
Go ahead, John.
I just wanted to say, like, I can understand people not necessarily being, like, enjoying Cody's title run. I mean, I've personally been enjoying it. I've been enjoying babyface Cody Rhodes. I do think he, as a heel, he would be more entertaining. But I've been enjoying it. The difference between Cody and Damien's run, at least Cody's having fucking crazy good matches.
True.
For the most part, I think the matches could have been a lot better without all the interference. But
Oh yeah, I mean without interferences, it'd definitely be better. But like Cody's matches as champion has been really good. Priest matches have been broadly fine.
I don't
haven't.
think Cody as the champion per se, like him holding the title, isn't what deters me. It's babyface Cody, honestly. It all boils down to that, because it's constantly week after week after week. It's the same stuff. He talks about his dad for a little bit. He cries for a little bit. He hugs Randy and Kevin for a little bit. They get into a little bit of a scuffle with the bloodline. On to next week. Rinse and repeat. On to the next week. Rinse and repeat. It's the same thing over and over again, and it's really getting tiring very quickly.
Look, make it, just have him have his baby face run until after next Mania, and then you pull the trigger sometime next year and you have him go full-blown champion heel. I mean, like Undertaker's talked about it, where he could just really dive into the whole, that he's better than his father and stuff. And Taker's like, oh, my blood's starting to boil just thinking about it. Like just give him his babyface run until after Mania, and then just have him go all in.
I just think
Go ahead.
I was going to say I think the biggest mistake that they made so far was letting Cody go back-to-back Royal Rumble, and I think that's the biggest mistake they made. And I hope they see now they should have just let Roman keep it for however much long for him to break that record for the modern era, which I would have been fine with because I can't stand Hulk Hogan. And so Yeah,
Cody can break
because
it.
I think had they let Roman keep it, somehow do this babyface persona coming back, and Cody turning heel, I'd have been fine with that. But it's just been bland. I don't like it.
I do
Dude,
think we're gonna find out within the next few months that The Rock has been the puppet master for the Solo bloodline this entire time.
Yep, 100%. One thing I just wanted to mention, because you're saying you should have let Roman continue the title, break the record, and all that. My problem there is Roman's main events. They were all the same match. They were. It's all like good in-ring or mostly really good in-ring work, but every single one of his matches, you knew nothing besides the last 5 minutes mattered, because there was going to be some sort of interference at the end that caught when he was about to get pinned, or when the babyface had the upper hand, where someone from the bloodline was going to come down, beat him down, hit him with their finish, and then either lay Roman on top of him, or he was going to get up and hit a spear, and it was over. That was the template for the bloodline match for all of 2023.
I can agree to disagree with that. One of the things, and this is where the wrestling business kind of kicks in on like as far as like I'm not going to sit here and say that I am a perfectionist when it comes to wrestling business. That's not what I'm saying. In the wrestling business, when you have someone this is why Roman was on top for so long. Was a lot of it was they were starting to receive numbers. I'm not talking about I'm not talking about people coming in. I'm talking about revenue. Revenue for the WWE started climbing at all-time highs. They were selling out shows in places that they had never sold out shows before because of what Roman Reigns was able to do as champion. I understand that he was coming in periodically and everything like that, but they were able to build such a great storyline around that. A lot of that was because the creative control that Paul Heyman had with the bloodline. Because Paul Heyman, like I said, that's one of the reasons why the bloodline has been able to be so strong for so long, was because Paul Heyman was allowed creative control. A lot of that had to do with Roman's new contract, things of that nature. So when you're building on this big rapport, you have to have something big happen in order for, a title reign to come to an end. I believe Cody Rhodes was a big enough superstar. Cody Rhodes is the only guy on that roster, maybe besides Gunther. I could have seen Gunther, taking it at one point. But they should have waited until Cody was with heel before they did it, because Cody is a much better heel than what he is a babyface. That's my argument. It's not the fact that they took it off of him. Eventually, I knew they were going to take it off of him. But my biggest thing, for me, the biggest argument that I've had, other than Cody being a heel, this whole thing that Hulk Hogan was as great as what people say he wasn't that great. He was just he was just this big old muscled up dude on steroids. That's all he was.
He's a piece of shit.
And
you can say it.
To me, and I understand that he's made amends over the years. I understand that he's changed his persona a lot. I get all that. But to me, if you're going to do something in the modern era that says, hey, I want to forget about this era, you have to do something great as far as beating Hulk Hogan's record. They could have done that with Roman Reigns. Now we'll never see it. We will never, ever see that kind of a reign again, ever, in the WWE.
At least not for a long time.
I did throw this question out to you guys during Game Static. I'll throw it out again just to reiterate on, the actual wrestling podcast show here. Do we see John at all? Do we see John Cena?
No, not yet.
Not yet, no. He's coming, though, but not
yet.
And
that's something else that I kind of scratch my head on is I think he's only going to wrestle, I'm wanting to say January until WrestleMania. I think WrestleMania is going to be his last.
No, he's going through the entire year. It's the whole year.
Yeah, I think he's going to do. I think he said he's going to do like mid 30 appearances.
Yeah, no,
I just thought it was going to be WrestleMania.
No, he said that will be his last WrestleMania, but his last match will take place sometime end of next year.
Okay, for some reason, maybe SummerSlam.
See,
I don't know. But
I saw the original announcement because I didn't see the interview. I just saw like headlines. I was like, "Oh, WrestleMania will be his last match." I mean, that makes sense. Whatever. And then actually listening to it and reading the actual articles, it's like, nah. I mean, that's just his last WrestleMania. He will be going for the rest of the year.
And in a lot of ways, it makes me wonder because why would you not let WrestleMania be it? WrestleMania is like the top dog in WWE. It's the Super Bowl. Of wrestling. Why would you not go out in the Super Bowl of wrestling?
Something tells me that there's going to be a show at the end of the year near West Newbury, Massachusetts.
Probably something like that. And also, with where John is, like from what I've gathered from interviews, where John is like mentally and stuff at this point of his life and career, I just don't see him being that guy that's just like, I want it to end at Mania. I want it to end at Mania.
Yeah.
Like he's such more of a low key kind of guy. I mean, like most of the stuff that he's going to want to be even doing, he's going to be working with. He's going to want to work with more, newer talent. Like I know everyone is saying, oh, it's got to be Randy and John at WrestleMania because they've never gone one-on-one at Mania. Honestly, guys, I'll be real. I would not be shocked if it was John and some new guy. I wouldn't be shocked at all. Just because that's who John is. I mean, that's just the kind of person John. It would not shock me if John and Randy happened, but it wouldn't shock me if it was John and insert upcoming star here. It just wouldn't shock me. It really, really wouldn't. That's just who John is.
But his final match, though, it's got to be Randy.
In my opinion, final match needs to be Randy.
Listen, fantasy booking. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. My fantasy booking mind really, 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 really wants Randy to turn on Cody, win the title. Him and John have a WrestleMania match. John wins, retires. Not WrestleMania specifically, but you know what I mean. John wins the title, retires the following night on Monday Night Raw.
I will say I do think John will be in the mix for the World Heavyweight Championship going into Mania.
He's got to be.
I will.
They know the storyline is there for him to beat the record, and he's the only one. I don't think anybody will ever be able to beat the record aside from him. Just based upon how not frequent the title changes as much. He
will either be in the mix for the storyline of the World Heavyweight Championship or the Intercontinental Championship because it's the title he's never won. He will be in the mix for one of the two. I promise you.
I thought he's won the Intercontinental Championship once.
Nope.
Him and Sheamus have never won that Intercontinental title.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
That's the reason why they're not Grand Slam champions.
So Bronn beats Sami this weekend, and then John Cena comes in and cashes his Money in the Bank from 25,000 years ago. It's imaginary Money in the Bank. It's the imaginary Money in the Bank.
John and Bronn would be a pretty damn good match.
Oh, it's going to happen between now and the end of next year. Like at least them maybe not for a title match or something, but they're going to have a match. That's going to be great too. I
just love the fact they're going to give John Cena one more run. Let him have one more run as far as like being the WWE. I mean, that's just I know him going to Hollywood and everything like that. That's just one of those things that happens. And so, but when you can't do it anymore, you can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
So that's just the.
Well, and now's the perfect time because he doesn't have any obligations as far as DC's concerned. He doesn't have any other obligations as far as any other movie's concerned right now, at least for the next 2 years. So. It's perfect.
I think you guys are trying to push him into the title picture a little too soon. He's gonna have his run of facing off against every beginning of next year. He's gonna be starting to face off against everybody who's wants to have one last match with him. I mean,
Punk, let's go.
Here's the thing, it's gonna get about halfway through the year, and he's gonna be like, man, I want that that record-breaking title run, and there's your 2025 Money in the Bank champion.
Fair. It could be late. It could be middle of next year, and he goes on a little short run.
If I'm not mistaken, he was the first one who had a Money in the Bank cash in on him.
Yeah,
and he
cashed in on him.
And he actually, yeah, it was Edge. John's won one Money in the Bank before, but he didn't cash it in like a normal cash in. He gave CM Punk an entire week to get prepared.
Can I give another fantasy booking?
Yeah.
Let's hear it.
Please he's ready to come back. He has stated multiple times he is medically cleared and ready to go to come back to wrestling. Please, please run it back with him and Wade Barrett one more time.
Oh yes, my Barrett barrage. Gonna kick.
I know some people weren't here for the Nexus run or anything like that, but
Jakub,
yeah,
I'm afraid I've got some bad news.
Oh,
He's not coming back. He's not coming back. I think he's gonna.
You don't think he's coming back?
No, I think he's fine on commentary.
When Drew had that little like backstage stuff with the panel and Wade was holding him back.
Yeah.
I think that was like maybe the start of things, Because him and Corey Graves are medically cleared to come back.
To be fair, on Game Aesthetic, I was trying to book Corey Graves versus Logan Paul.
He was. So it's fair fantasy booking. Very fair fantasy booking.
Can we all agree? Can we be in all agreement that Vince McMahon completely screwed up Wade Barrett's career?
Yeah.
Oh, the entire
he screwed
Nexus,
up a lot of careers.
The entire Nexus.
Yeah.
I won't say the entire.
I don't know
Nexus.
much about it, but I can agree based on it being Vince McMahon.
I won't say the entire Nexus, but I will say this. I thought the breakup of the Nexus and him going to SmackDown and having the core was the dumbest thing in the entire world.
Yeah.
Because I thought CM Punk running the Nexus for a little while, that was just kind of no. It just, to me, it wasn't CM Punk's type thing, or if you want to put it that way.
Forced.
But yeah. I personally miss Wade Barrett. He was awesome.
I love.
He
Wade
did
Barrett.
not have the best of finishers ever. That finisher was horrible, but he was still a good.
I can do that finisher. Here we go.
I love.
It's basically a sideways Alabama slam.
Well, I mean, also like he transitioned to the elbow. That was awesome.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't.
The elbow was awesome.
That makes me think at some point we got to talk about just bad finishers.
Oh, that's going to be an episode.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Like, look, ATWS is not going to be strictly just, we're only talking PLEs and the month of that's been wrestling leading up to it or whatever. Oh, no, we're definitely going to have some extra episodes of just like, we're just going to have conversations. All right.
It's like there's one person that pops in my head immediately when I think about finishers I don't like. And she's on the card.
Is it Bayley?
I do not like any of Bayley's finishes.
Yeah.
Like, I do not like her finishers.
I will say, the most hilarious finish of all time was Santino Marella's the Cobra.
I mean, Scotty Too Hottie had a pretty funny one, too. It was just the worm.
I forgot about Scotty Too Hottie's finish. Yeah.
And then, my brother. Okay, so in another Discord, my like friend group and everything, there's a running joke where me and Otis are brothers secretly.
I could see that.
So every time he's on TV or whatever, everybody's telling me, Jakub, your brother's on. Jakub, your brother's on. I'm like, yeah, that's my brother right there. I'll tell anybody. I'll go out in public and tell people that is my brother. But I think he has a better version of the worm with the caterpillar for sure.
So, out of curiosity, since if you with you doing all that, has anybody asked you if you personally know Mandy Rose?
No. I wish I did.
Right?
Jeez. I like that you really driving home with the Otis thing. That's fantastic. The fact that you're going out in public and telling, like, at this point, you need to get your dad in on it and stuff, and just like really drive it home. Like, yeah, that's my son. Yeah, shout out to him. He's doing great.
The sad part is, I think him and my dad are close in age. My dad's only 44.
Oh, well, they don't need to know that.
Yeah.
Who don't need to know that? Anyway, are you boys ready to wrap up the show? Pilot episode. It's a long one. It happens, But, boys, any last thoughts that you want to shout out with anything with the SummerSlam, anything like that?
Oh, Ricky and John, you're going Cody, right?
Yeah.
Like, officially? Don't do it, John.
Do it, John.
Don't do it, John.
Do it.
Don't do it.
Do it, John.
Everyone else is doing it. I will be the person to say no.
John.
I am pitching this weird narrative where it's not Roman coming back. It's The Rock being the true puppet master behind everything. Although this is not the storyline I want to see happen.
John.
I want the other storyline to happen.
John.
Do it, John.
I will be
Do
the
it,
one
John.
to stay solo.
Oh my god.
Yeah, let's go.
John. And that's why it's a terrible
Alex,
wrestling
if
show.
you haven't learned by now, I am the one willing to throw out a polarizing opinion.
I know. Trust me, I know. That's how you give us some good TikToks and shorts. It's thanks to you.
So I
It's
will
okay,
say
John.
the only matches that we are on a consensus on is Logan in LA and Liv in Rhea.
It's okay,
The
John.
only two that we all agree.
On a terrible football show, I have a tradition that I started last year. I will do it again this year. I will
But where you
pick
leave
one-
immediately after the call?
No. No, that's my signature, Jacob.
That
That's my
is.
signature.
Before I'm
I
even
give the
done
salute.
signing off, he's out.
Lord have mercy. It's because usually I have to go use the restroom, something like that, things like that. However, I have a tradition that I started last year where I pick one FBS team to upset a major FBS team. If there's no major FBS teams, I don't pick it. Like I picked South Dakota State to beat Iowa week 1.
You
2 years
almost
ago.
had that too. You were
Almost.
so
Almost
close.
had it.
You were so close.
6-3, man.
I know.
It's got to be a FBS school that people have heard of. Like, Jacksonville State's something no one's ever heard of. If they lose to a nobody team, no one cares.
Right. True. All right, boys. Any final thoughts? Let's go around the room. Ricky, last thoughts.
As long as Bayley don't win, I think we'll be fine.
Jacob, last thoughts.
Yeah.
John, last thoughts.
I really hope my predictions don't pan out.
Thank you for listening to A Terrible Wrestling Show. We'll see you next time.